is the punk with the controversial past people keep asking about, Big Tyler. Alright, kiddies, let's confront this once and for all, shall we? First of all, the individual you mention here is someone who has never once even been so much as referenced in the entire history of station KFUX. But for the record, no. The punk rocker who is at the center of this controversy, whose past has come back to bite him in his punk ass, those of you who have questions about him, you obviously know who he is already. I know who he is, and he knows who he is. As for those of you who do not know, who have yet to learn who he is, who have yet to hear through the gossip and the rumors and the grapevine who this is. If you do not know who this is, there is no reason for me to be naming names or engaging in these guessing games. The bottom line is he knows who he is, and he knows exactly what he has to do in order to, again, confront this entire catastrophe. And perhaps we can just leave it at that. Have you heard they're getting rid of pennies? The 1-cent piece coins? Someone did mention to me that in their stupidity, the U.S. Mint was considering, or perhaps has gone ahead, and discontinued pennies altogether. Should this be the case, this will mark one instance in which I will have to disagree with the late Andy Rooney, who himself was an advocate of the discontinuance of that particular coin. Should they discontinue the penny, this will not only have ramifications on commerce, on the economy, on the mercantile. In short, it will not only drive prices up, but furthermore, this will open the door for all of those elements out there who are hell-bent on the entire abolition of all forms of tangible physical currency, and instead wish to transition to abstract, intangible, digital currency. And if they succeed in doing this, well, your finances, already vulnerable as it is, will from that point forward be totally in jeopardy. They will be at the mercy of the whims of those who are in power, and who from that point forward will be a push button away from launching you into bankruptcy and destitution. In essence, you would end up penniless. You mark my words. When and how do you starch a shirt? You're writing in for laundry tips now? Hang on a sec, huh? All right. If you are asking me how I go about starching anything, or if you're asking when or how do you starch a shirt yourself, these are two entirely different matters. Speaking for myself, the only starching I've ever really done were for formal shirts, cuffs, collar, and especially above all, this placket in the front. This is supposed to be uniform, smooth, wrinkle-free, and stiff. And in the more modern varieties, the same sort of placket, except in this case you have all of these pleats, which must be flat and uniform and free of wrinkles to fit into the cummerbund or the waistcoat or whatever you choose to wear. Either that or detachable shirt collars, because let's face it, they have not been able properly to starch detachable shirt collars down at the dry cleaners since the 1930s. And I tell you, there's nothing quite like a starched detachable shirt collar. It's like a smooth, cool, crisp expansive paper. Feels wonderful. Looks sharp. Listen to that. As you can discern from this raggedy and disintegrating jug of starch, I don't really starch anything anymore. Haven't in quite a few years. But to answer your question, if I were to go about starching a shirt, or that is to say, if you were to go about starching a shirt, first of all, you need to make sure that the shirt is capable. That is to say, that it is willing to be starched. Most shirts nowadays are a polyester blend. They have a synthetic elements woven into the cloth. And those synthetic elements hate to be starched. They will resist the chemical reaction. As a matter of fact, because starch is what it purports to be, starch, not unlike complex carbohydrate, potatoes or pasta, you go to starch something that is a polyester blend or has any kind of synthetic in it, the fabric will resist it, and you'll basically be cooking it right on the surface of those fibers until it scorches and turns into that flaky yellowish film, yellowish brown that you get at the bottom of an omelet or scrambled eggs that you cook too long. Ugh. Big mess, terrible mess. No. You got to make sure that your shirt actually is capable of being properly starched. And in that case, you want to use a... boy, I remember one time I had a shirt collar that was so modern, it was also some kind of polyblend synthetic, and I tried to starch that properly. And then, God forbid, I tried wearing it. It was like wearing a collar made out of sandpaper. My God, that was awful. What you want to do, in your case, if you do in fact have a cotton or a wool shirt, you suffuse it with the starch or the spray starch or whatever type you're going to use, and then you make sure that you have what's called a pressing cloth. And if you don't own a pressing cloth, then you get a towel, a dish towel, or just a piece of sturdy fabric, and you lay that over the garment, the article that you're trying to starch. You lay that on top. You create a top layer, and then you take the iron and you apply that. And then that pressing cloth, that absorbs all of the abuse from the iron. All of the potential scorching and discoloration, browning or burning, that all goes into that pressing cloth. But the heat will pass through that cloth into the article that you are trying to iron, into the article that you are trying to starch. Peek every now and then to make sure that you are not reinforcing a wrinkle with that starch, because you might as well be using cement at that point. You'll never get rid of that wrinkle. But that's how you want to go about doing it. Make sure you use a pressing cloth if you give a damn about that shirt in question. Yeah. Do they no longer print the instructions on the label?